many of you order room service when you stay in a hotel? My husband and I love to order room service. And there's really two reasons. One of my former jobs was room service manager at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel here on the Plaza. The second is we love room service breakfast because it's a little way to pamper ourselves. Now, room service is an interesting department. And at the Ritz-Carlton, the layout, I want to describe the layout of it. There is the dining room here, and then there's a wall, and then there's room service. And room service is long and narrow. There's a service elevator and the stairs here. You have the kitchen that serves both the dining room and room service, and then around the back is the dishwashing area. Because of where room service lands, it's very busy. Lots of activity. People, dishwashers bringing dishes back and forth, chefs bringing up fresh stuff from the main kitchen, room service waiters going up and down, lots and lots of activity. And it was amidst this pandemonium that it happened. It was a small moment. It was fleeting, but the impact of it has lasted decades. But that's what unguarded moments do. They're a surprise to us. We don't know they're happening, and they just happen. And that's the best thing about them, because you can't plan them. So we're going to look at unguarded moments today. In my opinion, there's two categories. One is things that should not be said or you did not intend to say. And the second is those heartfelt moments that we just all love. First one, things you shouldn't say or you didn't mean to say. We see that a lot with social media. We see a lot with public figures. Things just happen, they blurt something out. My moment was a conversation with my daughter Reese. And I offhandedly mentioned that I had my first kiss in 7th grade with a boy named Troy. And her eyes lit up, and it was a tractor beam. She was so interested because she was in 7th grade at the time. And she said, so she had all kinds of questions. She said, well, was he your boyfriend? And I said, no. Well, did you like him? And I said, well, he was cute. So he wasn't your boyfriend and you didn't like him and you kissed him anyway? I said, yeah, and just question. And if I think about it, probably wouldn't have been the way I would have talked about that. It would have been more parental, like boys and determining what your boundaries are. And she, as the receiver, would have heard, like in Charlie Brown, the adults that talk, she would have heard, wah, 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 wah. This moment has stuck with her because I was unguarded, right? I just blurted it out, and she has mentioned it to me several times afterwards. The next category is those heartfelt moments. And those are the moments that are raw, and you're vulnerable, and you just know when they happen. In Toastmasters, we have table topics, right? Table talk is, and we have seen some of those moments that we all just have heard them. Dinner conversations is another area that happens. But an example I want to share is there's a politician that's running for Senate in Texas, and his name is Beto O'Rourke, and he was on a campaign trail, and someone asked him a question about football players kneeling during the national anthem. And he answered, and he moved on. What he didn't know is someone captured his response. Now this thing went viral, and really strong opinions on both sides of it. But I saw an interview with him, and he said, it was just an unguarded moment. I just shared what was on my mind. I thought that is really worth exploring, and that was the inspiration to look at this topic. So his unguarded moment was very public. Mine was a little different. It was at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, and it was in October, and fall was in full swing. It was chilly outside, so you had to wear a jacket every day, and the leaves were red and orange and yellow and actively falling from the trees. Halloween was right around the corner. There was a pumpkin carving contest, and every department submitted a pumpkin for the contest. And I had a friendly bet with someone in a different department that if whichever pumpkin won, is you would buy the other one a drink. Because there was a group of friends, we were part of a group of friends that went out occasionally after work. So the contest happened. and neither one of our pumpkins won. So I said, well, let's just go out for a drink anyway. There are two main things you need to know about this moment. One, the conversations with my husband, Brian. Two, it was in the midst of that room service department I told you about. With all that chaos, this is where the conversation happened. Now, if you ask Brian and I to tell the story, we have different versions. Brian's version is that I asked him out on our first date. My version is a little different. My version is, well, we were just talking about a bet that we had, right? Plus, I was in a room service department with all my coworkers, all this activity going on. There's no way I would have asked him out at that time. Plus, you guys, this was the 90s, and in the 90s, women didn't actively ask men out on dates. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying it wasn't common, and I was certainly not brave enough to do that. So we went out. We went to an art exhibit, and then we had our bet drink afterwards. At the end of the night, Brian walked me to my car, and we had a good night kiss. Couple of facts, it was a date. Another fact is we were married 25 years. We're still married 25 years later. So what's happened with this story is that it's become something fun that we've told occasionally over the years, and Brian loves to tell this story. He loves to tell the story because I was a little embarrassed about it for many years, right? I just wasn't able to get past it. And now I love the story because it's something that's unique to him and I. And when we tell people, we ask them their opinion. Well, what do you think? Everyone gives their opinion. They tell us what their story was when they met, and the conversation's always lively, and we have a good time. So was I sharing my deepest, darkest feelings that were in my heart? I don't know. But what I do know is that Brian and I were both unguarded at the moment, and it led to something neither one of us had really anticipated. So that's the beauty of an unguarded moment. And now that you know what they are and you have it in your mind, look for them yourself, because these are really precious moments. Whether it's something you see on social media, a conversation you have with somebody, or when you get to see those moments where somebody is really sharing what's in their heart. Because those moments are the best. And we all know when they happen because they are a moment, right? A tractor beam just goes in on you and you're suspended. And you all know when the moment is. And if that happens to you, you're the one that provides the moment for other people, you're gonna feel vulnerable. I'm just telling you, it's definitely uncomfortable, but what a gift. And maybe the gift that you will receive if you are in one of those moments is you have a great story to tell decades later. Thank you.